Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever and wherever you've got. Because we've got Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament action for you here today. We're bringing you this round 2 bracket matchup between daaanty, who took a 2-1 over Waterloo in round 1, and Goomba, who took a 2-0 over daaanty in round 1. And then daaanty took a game over Goomba yesterday to go 1-0 up. Calling this match, I'm Reg. I'm joined by Slim Kirby. So, Slim Kirby, got some excitement going on. What do you want him to see here?
We certainly do have some excitement here. We have two very, very accomplished runners in the Link to the Past randomizer community. These are runners you'll see at the top of pretty much any type of race here. We've seen them definitely have some success in previous tournaments as well. daaanty coming in as our #1 seed after not only the group stage, but even the qualifier stage as well. So, he's definitely done some work in this tournament and looking to move on to round 3 today. Goomba coming in as our 33rd seed, so kind of the top of the pack of the secondary people who moved on from the group stage. So he's also putting in the work as well. Should be a very interesting match. Goomba's going to try to force a game 3, obviously, to make sure he's actually that person that advances to round 3.
Yep. Goomba got sent to the top of the second half of the brackets, took a 1-2 against Dracaris in the group stage. And the way this bracket's seeded is basically the group winners make up the first 32 seeds, the group runner-up make the second 32, the 33 to 64 group. And then things are sorted out through there based on your record in the group stage. So daaanty went 4-0 in the groups, for example, so that puts him automatically near the top. And then your record in the qualifiers is your tiebreaker there, which daaanty, like you said, #1 qualifier. Therefore, #1 seed in the entire bracket. But how much does that really mean here? I don't think very much.
Yeah, honestly, like anything can happen in randomizer, as we know, as we check the first chest of the game, Link's house, just a heart piece. So now we're going to go up and do the standard escape that we normally have to do. It looks like we also have a map check of 2 crystals in the light world at Heron Eastern Palace, and I believe that was a pendant at Desert Palace.
A red pendant there, yeah, which I think is vanilla, but I mix up the red and blue all the time, so who knows?
I think it's actually blue, but yeah. Either way, it's one of those less important pendants. As looks like we're gonna have the fire rod as our uncle item today.
This is a really nice and convenient starting item. You can kill those 2 guards there. The problem is farming for bombs elsehow is pretty difficult because you're limited to 8 shots plus whatever magic refills you can get.
Thankfully, if you're lucky enough, you may be able to kind of figure out what the prize packs are. Prize packs are pretty consistent. They'll stick with their enemy groups, and they're prize packs from the vanilla game as well. So you can kind of get an idea of what the prize pack is going to give you, if there's bombs in that prize pack or not, and then you can kind of figure out if you need to farm or not while you're going through this section.
Yep, and we did see a heart drop on daaanty's side, which is not definitive. There are 2 prize packs that start with a heart, so it's either the health pack that has a lot of hearts, or it's the so-called variety pack with the 8 bomb drop deeper into the pool, but we'll need to see another drop before we can confirm that.
Yeah, so we'll probably see a couple more kills here and there just to kind of see what else is going on in this prize pack. I believe also the guards share a drop with the snakes that are in the sewers part of the escape as well. There is a fairy.
Yep. So in 3 drops, daaanty will get an 8 bomb. You'll see a big magic, then a red rupee. There's the big magic there. No red rupee, so still needs 2 more drops. I don't think Goomba's seen any drops at all yet.
I mean, that's honestly, like, especially with Fire Rod Start, that's actually a really, really good drop to get, because you have that full magic that'll kind of restore your Fire Rod while you're still working on that prize pack.
Yep, and I do tell a lie there. Goomba's got the fairy on screen, so he knows what prize pack the guards and the snakes are in. He knows that the big magic is his next drop, and that's just going to be every guard's going to have a 50-50 chance to drop and advance the prize pack there. So we'll see if the screen guard will do it for Goomba if he kills it at all. daaanty didn't get his bombs there, though.
Yeah, that was my favorite use of the fire rod and the fire rod to start here. Being able to destroy that ball and chain guard in just one hit. Really, really nice. Just get them done and take care of them without using multiple pots like I'd normally use.
Yeah, like you do have to watch him burn there, as we saw, but I'm pretty sure that even with that, it's still the fastest of any Uncle weapons aside from maybe the hammer.
Yeah, I'd say that's correct.
Yeah, because sword, Samaria, Burna all take 8 hits. Hammer only takes 2, but it's got the weird hitbox. Bow takes 4, so...
So yeah, we'll probably be seeing a lot of extra kills in the snake room and the sewers portion of Escape. A lot of snakes in there. That'll definitely advance the prize pack to that 8 bomb drop you were talking about earlier for both of our runners.
Yeah, but daaanty, knowing it's his next drop, is grabbing a pot, was hoping for it there. He gets
There
it.
it is.
So he doesn't have to kill anything more other than the key rack, because 8 bombs is plenty. Goomba, meanwhile, I expect him, we'll see him take advantage of the fire rod splash damage in the snake room ahead. Just skip this first room that only has rats in it, and tons of snakes in this room here for Goomba.
Oh, yep, there's that splash damage, and still needs to make a little more progress on this.
Yeah, he's actually been really unlucky with his drops compared to daaanty, but he does get it there fairly easily, and that's a red boomerang, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, we'll be able to see the stun prize pack using that.
Yeah, I probably won't see it for a little while, because even with quick swap, switching to it, switching back just takes time and it's not convenient, but if that stun prize is something significant like bombs or red rupees, could see it get farmed out a little bit later in the seed.
Yeah. That's honestly the thing I love seeing with like these runners is, you know, how they optimize even just those little things, those little bits of knowledge for their seed to kind of make progress. As we do see the mirror and a piece of heart here in the back of Escape, as well as the baby shield, which not gonna really be that helpful for these runners, I'm sure.
Nah, there's like one screen in the game where top level runners actually don't mind having a shield. Fire shield is a little bit of an improvement. I think it triples your count there, but it's still marginal. But yeah, that mirror in the back of Escape in the sewers is always a fun little find. Just, you gotta make sure that you don't get excited, quick swap to it and use it. That would be... but we don't see that from these runners.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you use that mirror in that room, which, you know, normally when you go to the Sanctuary and do that, you go right to the Sanctuary door, but in this case, since we've, you know, we technically entered Hyrule Castle from the front, we'd go all the way back to the front of Hyrule Castle at that point, so... And that really wouldn't help, especially when a save and quit would still be faster if you wanted to go from Link's house somewhere.
Yep. Just weird little quirks of the castle and the sewers itself, which... you get one as a runner. You do that once thinking you're clever, and then just never again.
Pretty much, yeah. I would do it twice because I'm just scatterbrained like that, but yeah, usually you try not to make that mistake again if you do find that mirror early.
Yeah. On the other hand, using it out of Zelda's cell is pretty convenient.
Oh yeah,
that's the dream.
Yeah, that's like a minute shaved off of your escape time there. So yeah, that's nice when you can get that happen.
Yeah. Also, speaking of really nice and convenient things, at 300 in the Thief Hideout in the woods there, make sure they can afford everything they're going to want, short of King Zora for the time being.
It's actually kind of nice seeing both of our runners at, like, you know, the same exact rupees, bombs, and arrows right now, so...
Yep. That's what happens when you get through the variety pack in the escape sequence there, and you pick up the red rupee, and there are no small drops worth ignoring in that pack, aside from the fairy, so...
Right.
Actually, here's something I've been wondering about for a little while. We get some of the goods out of the back of Blind's hideout here, but it seems like there's not much of a time difference in erasing those blocks with the mirror versus just getting everything normally.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of been wondering about that just because it's so infrequent that you see one runner do one and the other do the other there.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just that little addition of kind of muscle memory, because you probably wouldn't have the mirror there normally. So as a result, it's one thing less to press, and you kind of just do it seamlessly. With the mirror, you kind of have to, like, use it while pressing the button, which might slow you down just a tiny bit.
Yeah, it's like maybe Goomba was saved a couple seconds there, one or two maybe,
Maybe.
but it's nothing massive.
Right, right.
Which, if you've got it, do it, but if you don't, no stress.
Pretty much.
The wells got the goods too. Like, we saw a lot of items in there that I was too busy thinking about erasing blocks to think about.
Yeah, we honestly have quite a bit we can do now. We have, like, lots of options available for us. And two of the good items that we found here, like items I like to find before or even at Kakariko, we found a bottle, so now we can check Sick Kid, and of course we have the flute, so we can activate that and get that kind of as a faster way to travel through this first part of the light world.
Yep, those are the two items you always want to have just to save you from having to walk back to Kakariko a second time before you're ready for the Dark World.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, there's an ice rod, so that's 2 rods.
And that's an item you want to find, like, no matter what, because of just, sometimes Turtle Rock is pendant, but, and you don't know that information yet, like these runners don't. It's good to at least know, okay, well, at least I won't be looking for this item for, like, the better part of, like, an hour or something.
Yeah. Although I'm just thinking, they found the gloves and the lamp in Blind's hideout, which, hey, cool, Death Mountain access. Then they find the flute in the well, and it's just kind of like, well, still Death Mountain access.
Yeah. And you see, we have that mirror, so, making me think that, Tower of Hera could definitely have something right now. It is fully completable at this point, especially with that sword that we found in the well, so that could be an option that we'll see our runners go into.
Yeah, it could. We would ideally want a hammer or hook shot to get to the rest of the mountain.
Right, right.
It could very well be in Hera itself.
True. And gonna skip away from the second bottle at Race Game, and we did actually see a second sword at the library.
Yeah, I wonder what the odds are on whether we actually get that or it gets turned into a green 20 later.
Probably a green 20, but we'll see, we'll see. If they get the boots kind of early-ish, that could be a very quick one to go pick up and grab, just so you don't have to necessarily worry about, potentially finding one later on.
Yeah, with the mirror in hand, if we do get the boots early enough, could very easily wrap it in with the dig game Stumpy sort of Dark World loop, that part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
We do see the Agina here, daaanty taking that check early with the flute in hand, and nothing doing in the desert region.
Yeah, except just the peace of mind of knowing that, okay, well, I got this kind of one-off, and Agina's checked early, so I don't have to worry about that, as we do find the hammer. We were kind of talking about that earlier, getting that hammer for East Death Mountain. I think the mountain is definitely screaming for our runners right now.
Yeah, we might... If Goomba takes us all the way to Ice Rod Cave, if he flutes to 8 here, then we might see, the Moon Pearl there, which would create some real interest, but he's not taking that. Mountain it is.
Yeah. The dream is definitely just being able to do all of Death Mountain. Like, even if you can't go into Turtle Rock, at least you can get the information of what the medallion you need for it is, and all that stuff. So it's, good to get that peace of mind. But, you still have a lot of checks here just in the light world, so might as well get some of these taken care of.
Yeah, and with so many checks, and honestly not that many other locations conveniently available to us right now, we've got the Eastern Palace area, and we've got Zora, I think. Well, Eastern Palace area is suddenly good.
Yeah, seriously, that, I think... Okay, I guess gonna check Agina first just to get this out of the way, but yeah, with that bow, that's that's Eastern Palace taken care of, and this would honestly be a good time to do that. Or could also just wait till we have Dark World access and combo it with Palace of Darkness, like because we'd have all the items for both of those dungeons.
Yep, and we've got the mirror to just go right between them too, so that's 2 full clearable dungeons. We don't know if Pod is a crystal yet, but with a pendant in the light world, and odds are pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I actually kind of like what Goomba did right there. Is like after he brought the old man back, he immediately did the flute, took care of that Agina one-off, which, it's the one Sphere 1 location in the Light World checks that I feel like a lot of people kind of leave on the table just because, it's out of the way. You don't often have the flute or boots to get to there quickly. So we kind of just check that off before doing the save and quit inside to continue looking at the mountain as we find another sword out in the open, this one on top of Spectacle Rock, as well as a heart container inside.
Okay, so that's 3 of the 4 swords that we know about now. We can actually grab this one with the mirror here. And the upgrade to kill Moldorm there is pretty nice. We've got, hey, 5/6, Pod Ice Palace, Pendant Mire, Pendant Skull Woods too.
Yeah, not a bad layout today.
Yeah, it's not Pendant Thieves Town for once, which I feel like I've seen that a lot lately, and it's just not fun just to think about running it.
Yeah, to me, it's like it's either Pendant Thieves or Pendant Swamp. It's either been like one or the other in a lot of these races.
Yep, and today we've got neither. We do have Pendant Skull Woods, but a lot of runners will not care so much about that when they're just doing the front. Having the Fire Rod already does throw a little bit of a kink in that, but probably still see front first routing there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we see on Goomba's side, he is into the tower now. No hookshot means no Harapot means we are climbing it classic style.
Mm-hmm. Okay, nice bomb jump across the gap to get that small key. And, ooh, flippers, okay.
And I think there was an item up there in the lobby chest as well that daaanty's about to get here. Yes, yep. So that's both items. No need to worry about that basement.
Yep, just climb on up, get rid of Moldorm at the top, and then move on, be on your merry way. And with both of our runners, I imagine that's going to be checking the east side of Death Mountain, see what's in those 6 locations, get a quick glimpse of what's on top. And then we'll be moving on from there. Hopefully we'll have the Moon Pearl at that point, so that will open up our options a little more of what we can potentially do. But looking like, either Eastern area, Zora area, just kind of following the items that we've gotten up here, those seem to be the most likely candidates.
Yep. At this point, we've got the Spiral and Paradox Caves. Even if those do turn out blank, we do still have a good number of options between the Eastern area and the Flippers checks. Mm-hmm. But you're still going to be surprised to see all those checks on East Death Mountain come up empty.
Yeah. Wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. I mean, we've seen 2 of the most heavily dense locations in the Thieves' Hideout and the Well paying off quite a bit in this seed already. It's like, come on, like another 5 chest location gonna also give us the goods or not?
Well, daaanty took a fall there. Feels a little bad, but happens to the best of them, as we're seeing.
Yeah, you never know how that worm is going to be acting, so he can be a little rambunctious at times.
Yeah. Now here's a question for you.
What's
You're doing the slow spiral cave like we see Goomba here. Would you rather have sword beams or a hookshot?
Honestly, that is a good question, honestly. Probably sword beams, I guess.
I think I agree with that actually, because
Yeah.
hookshot kills the mini moldworms in one hit where the sword beams don't. But you have to kind of stop moving for a while to use the hookshot.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, sometimes those mini moldworms can be moving pretty quickly, so it's like sometimes you'll probably end up missing, and it'll take 2 shots anyway.
Yeah, meanwhile, those sword beams, they're pretty fat. They don't miss very often in the confines of that cave.
Right.
So here's the last 5 of Paradox Cave here, but nothing in those 2. A little bit of walking around. We can afford to pay King Zora, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely the bright spot of this Paradox Cave check for sure, as Goomba's gonna save and quit out, go back to the top of the mountain, and flute away to pick his next destination.
Yep. He's got a choice between 5 or 8 here. Choosing the Flippers checks, it looks like he's still clinging to that hope of being able to combine Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace.
Right, and honestly, I don't blame him for thinking that, because it really is just so convenient just being able to mark off 2 dungeons at once, and at this point he knows he has to do both of them, so the most efficient way you can get both those things checked off of your checklist, and there's a lot of items in Palace of Darkness as well, so, and there we go, there's that Moon Pearl.
Yep, so daaanty he's choosing to miss out on the efficiency here. It's 6 items in the eastern area between the Eastern Palace itself and Sahasrara's Closet. Meanwhile, the flipper checks are 5 between the 4 here in Zora's Domain and the Hobo. So 1 extra item, slightly better odds for daaanty here, but working out in Goomba's favor.
Definitely.
Actually, I didn't even notice, but chat's pointing out daaanty skipped Paradox Cave.
That is interesting, yeah.
I mean, we know that he can just go back and clean it up when he's doing Dark Death Mountain. Not going to be punished at all for that, but still, fascinating skip. And that does leave him without the money to pay Zora, too, which I think explains his choice here.
Yeah, interesting.
Meanwhile, Goomba just not even taking Hobo, he's going to be straight off to the Dark World here. Can't afford Palace of Darkness entry, which I think is why he's not fluting to 5. Gonna start at Hype Cave, probably get enough money out of there.
And, you know, I actually do like that routing choice, because I think that does actually work out pretty well in that regard, so I think that's actually a nice heads-up play from Goomba.
Yep, and if it turns out he doesn't get 50 rupees out of this Hype Cave, he can just go west instead, all the way through.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, nothing else really worth talking about unless bottles are still relevant, but got 50, so he's good. And yeah, taking that cash, going off. Might check the pyramid first, but other than that, it's going to be pod into Eastern for him. Actually, we never saw this check from him, did we?
I don't think so. Oh, he's just going to go ahead and get right up there and grab that, which honestly makes sense.
Actually, this is brilliant. He's going to do this. He's going to go back into the Dark World. Oh, no, he's not. I thought he was going to go up to the Hobo spot. Mirror there, get Hobo, then continue to Pyramid and Pod from there. But just getting Hobo in the Light World, probably going to save, or not save and quit, but come back out and flute to 5.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess he doesn't want to route in the Pyramid before going into Pod Eastern, I guess. Might do that.
Probably.
So.
Yeah, okay, I can kind of understand that a little bit. Because, yeah, I would have thought just going up and then... And I guess you can't go back on land from there if you were going to just stop on the middle island anyway, so... I don't know. That's just not normally how I'd go to check Hobo from the Dark World, but it ended up working out in that fashion.
Yeah. And then the flute to 5 here. This is the fastest way to get the Hobo check and then get to Pod afterwards. It just does make checking the Pyramid Ledge a lot less convenient.
Right, okay. I guess that's probably what I was trying to think about in regards to that. But, you know, Pod is one of our 5-6 crystals after all, so, you know, potentially could get the way to get to Ice Palace, so it could be thinking, well, maybe I'll just route in Pyramid Fairy with the Pyramid checks. That could very well happen as well.
Yeah, if we can pull some mids out, that does make Ice Palace fully completable, even if not necessarily in logic, and there we are.
Yeah, and there's the mids, so yeah. Man, we're having this many items 23 minutes in is pretty remarkable, honestly.
Yeah, I think their race yesterday was quite similar in that regard, but
Yeah.
kind of slowed down as it devolved into item hunts towards the end.
Mm-hmm. Which that's pretty common in Randomizer, you know, that item hunt at the very end of the seed for your Go mode items, so.
Yeah. At this point, though, I mean, we're missing Cane of Samaria. We're missing whatever medallion opens Turtle Rock for us. We're missing a hook shot. And we might be missing the boots.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It sounds about right.
So that's 3, maybe 4 items. And with Desert being a pendant, those boots would only really be necessary if they're locking the Ganon's Tower key, which is very small chance.
Mm-hmm. So before Dainty goes to Pod, gonna take this time to actually check the mire area, kind of see what's going on in here. Obviously, we don't need to complete mire for these seeds, at least that we know of right now, since item on pedestal, items in mire, stuff of that nature. But we'll at least get some heads-up intel on what's exactly going on over here. And it looks like we have the Ether Medallion is going to be required for mire.
Yeah, vanilla entry, but remember, Dante's still lacking that Moon Pearl, but just picked up the mitts out of Sahasrara's hut. He's clearly thinking that Checkerboard Cave may have the Pearl.
Right.
Of course, we know it's behind the flippers instead of behind the mitts, but still a very, very reasonable call from him with that mitt being available as early in logic as it was.
Right. And, you know, this is something we could definitely ask him later in the interview or something, but, you know, because Dainty does have the 1-game lead on Goomba, and he knows Goomba's a very, very skilled runner for sure, he might be thinking that he kind of needs to be a little more aggressive in checking certain things and skipping certain things, since he does have a game to work with, basically, in this series. So, figures if he does make a Hail Mary play and guesses right, that could be a huge, huge swing in a race if he does feel behind or something.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that anybody would be feeling behind at 25, 26 minutes in a seed with where he's got this many items, but that's a big pull. It's not a Moon Pearl, but wow.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Because Desert, Mire both being pendants, Goomba has 0 incentive to ever go to that area when he's got everything else on the table.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that is true. Dainty is going actually back to the mountain. Unfortunately, I think he's gonna need to come back though, because he does not have the Moon Pearl yet. He's only going to be able to check. He'll check Paradox Cave, which we kind of figured that he was waiting for the mitts to do that. But he doesn't have that Moon Pearl, so won't be able to check Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, could check Super Bunny Cave using the glitch the cave is named for. Because if you go into that cave, you can't really get to the chests without falling down a hole, which triggers the Super Bunny glitch, which lets you open chests.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, that does leave Hookshot Cave behind, which can't feel good after you just pull the hookshot out of a pendant dungeon.
Right, yeah. So at this point, I think it's pretty obvious to think that Dainty probably feels like the Moon Pearl's in here at this point, but unfortunately, no, it is at the Waterfall Fairy Cave.
Yeah, but this is his highest percentage play by a fair shot at this point, so it's kind of unfortunate that he skipped out on it the first time and has to come back to it now.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only thing of even slight note we've seen in Pod so far is that red shield. And similarly, we saw nothing on Dante's side in Eastern besides that crystal, so a lot of hints towards this area, but none of them paying out.
Yeah, not really.
I wonder here, once Dante gets his Moon Pearl out of this waterfall and he checks the flippers, the Zora and the ledge, he could just walk right back to this portal, walk into Ice Palace.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we see that, but it would be cool if we did. And on Goomba side, we get the first of potentially just one moving walls this seed, because the others are in Desert Mire.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so those are just slow and not fun rooms, but Goomba might be done with them if we don't have to kill Lane Molas and check the cutscene chest in Mire. That would be cool. And save and quit from Dante. He's presumably off to somewhere in the Dark World. Probably Hype Cave, yeah, starting at Link's house here. And yeah, chat's saying it, but even though Dante is quite far behind on the route here into the Dark World, that hookshot is a big deal for him because it means he's only 2 items from actually being in Go mode here. And that's going to be a thorn.
Yeah, that's very true. That's something you like. You know, definitely like the routing he took to get at this point did seem kind of a bit inefficient, especially considering like the route Goomba's been on. But yeah, just that one hookshot pull could actually be like quite substantial if those next 2 items continue to be in like these crystal dungeons that both of them can actually access. You know, Danny will be in Go mode, and then Goomba will have to basically pick like, okay, which pendant dungeon do I think the hookshot's going to be in, and that could be a huge swing at the end of this race.
Is Dante just going straight into Swamp?
Right, and by that same coin, if both the items he needs are in here, then that's another kind of swing right there.
Yeah. And Swamp is, like, just by sheer item count, it's the best dungeon in the game. It's got 6. Yep. No other dungeon does.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't like this play at all from Dante. But at the same time, I absolutely love it, and the only reason I have to not like it is just because I am personally not a fan of the dungeon itself. It's
yeah,
brilliant exactly. From Dante.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of expect the only dungeon he can't clear at this point is Turtle Rock. I expect him to have 6 crystals in not completely short order here, because some of these dungeons do take time, but in fairly short order. Minimal overworld checks, at least.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's basically in a position where he could just kind of keep going around this way counterclockwise, get Ice Palace, get Pod, and then just go to Thieves Town right after that. So, yeah, nice little smooth path through the Dark World, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't expect it'll be quite as smooth as you're thinking with the flute and the mirror in hand. But it's the same concept, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
And besides, I mean, it's kind of like you said earlier. He knows he's got a game to give. He can just go for it. He can follow this hookshot to the depths of wherever it takes him. And if that costs him the race, then he had it to give. He was making the play.
Right.
But we're starting to get into the meat of Swamp Palace finally. We did see, what was it, Cash in the first chest?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Goomba about to challenge the Armos Knights, and across the 2 dungeons only really has a shovel to show for it as far as new locations unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 items in Swamp so far. I'm expecting him to skip left side, especially no big key in hand, and yep.
Nice Armos kill from Goomba as he picks up his 3rd crystal.
Yeah. Dante's attempt at diver down there gets a bit thrown off because he didn't kill the slime. And then that position wasn't good. I think he's 1 pixel to the right. Nope, he's good. 4 and 5 items so far in Swamp. Actually, excuse me, 3 and 4 I cannot count. I added 1 too many.
Well, there's 5 right there, so...
So Argus gonna just drop the 6 and save us from left side being in consideration at all?
Well, that's definitely the dream. But we'll see if that plays out that way. Looks like Goomba is heading over to the Village of Outcasts in the Thieves Town area. Going to be his next grouping of checks here. Nothing in the chest game.
Yeah, for Goomba, I think this routing makes total sense with the items he's got, largely because it lets him, he can do Thieves Town here. Then with the Mitts and Mirror and Hammer, he can do the Smith Chain really, really cleanly starting from the north here. And just loop in the entire overworld checks on the way back down.
Yeah, and especially like right now, you know, Ice Palace, you know, could be completed for Goomba right now, but just, you know, potentially maybe waiting till he finds either a hookshot or Samaria just to kind of have more sense of like the logic of that dungeon at this current point in time.
Yeah, and just have Samaria so that you can Icebreaker and just full clear that dungeon in a much smoother and more fun way on top of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we are 6 for 6 on Swamp Palace items. I believe they were literally all cash.
Well, hey, that's what you want to see. You want to see all those dungeon items on the left side, and just just get all the important stuff like on your way to the boss.
Yep, it's kind of a fascinating one, really, because Diver Down has made left side Swamp on your first trip through the dungeon so much more appealing, because that's the only time it really offers a time save.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes you get dungeon layouts like this, where it's you do left side Swamp for just dungeon items, and then that still feels really bad.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't seen anything of note in the front 4 of Thieves Town here, but I didn't notice how many, if any, dungeon items we got.
I admittedly wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to that either, but I assume chat's not exploding, tracker's not exploding, so it seems like front was pretty empty, all things considered.
Our tracker Wolflink is saying that it was all cash besides the big key there, and 2 of those green 20s as well, which, I mean, couldn't have been a sword, but could have been stuff like silver arrows, armor upgrade, a shield, because you can't get mirror shield in this item pool. And we're on 11 hearts. I think we might be capped on heart containers at this point.
Yeah, potentially. Could be one of the heart container pieces. Likely the containers at this point.
It does mean that there's only 1 item to be had in the back of Thieves Town, but since it's a crystal, we're doing it all anyways, because Thieves Town kind of just forces you to do the whole thing if you want all the items, or even if you just want the crystal. And that's why everybody loves doing it early, and it's why it's not nearly as nice to see it as a pendant.
Right.
Yeah. So many digs in that dig game. Could not get out before the text box.
Yeah. Got close, though. Got very, very close, but not quite.
Yeah, he did a good job of digging his way over towards that liftable rock. But even that wasn't enough for him, because I think chat's saying it may have been 28 digs, which maximum 30. So almost the worst possible.
Oh, and here's the unfortunate thing, doing the hammer pegs without the boots. Can't do the item dash, but we'll have to go through all these manually.
Yeah, boots are probably in GT anyways.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, well, we do find our fourth, actually, that's the fourth sword that we know about, as we do know that the library has the other sword, but yeah, all 4 swords have been accounted for at this point, so since Danny does get his 3rd sword, that one at the library will turn into a green 20.
Yep. And suddenly, if the boots are in Ganon's tower, we just don't care about them at all anymore.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, true.
going fast is fun, but being able to actually clear the game is a bit more important.
So Dante does pick up the mushroom from the, I guess, mushroom smiths in this case.
That's a fun little fetch quest, although Dante here picking up the purple chest, if he goes in and clears Thieves Town, it goes away. So what I'm looking for him and what I want to see him do here is mirror right in front of the entrance to Thieves Town, flute the purple chest over because he's already done all the other checks, and then just flute back and use that as his Dark World portal instead of having to walk back.
Yep, that would make sense to me, so...
Yeah. Meanwhile, we see on Goomba's side, no item of real value in Thieves Town, but another crystal, so he's on 4 now. Chugging along.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not really finding a lot of items inside our crystal dungeons here. I think the one thing we did find was the flippers that were inside Tower of Hera, but crystal dungeon's not really paying off. Obviously, we found the hook shot and a pendant dungeon, so...
Found a pretty mean pair of boots relative to the hammer pegs.
Oh yeah, yep.
That's kind of rude, game, to make us do hammer pegs, because you're never going to do, unless you just don't have the hammer, you're never going to do hammer pegs after a purple chest.
Right.
Ever. So putting the boots in purple chest is just rude. But Goomba's not going to miss those boots for very long, but it does mean that he did not have them for these long hallways and straightaways in Thieves Town where Dante will. So that's a bit of time save coming in immediately from that quick movement item.
Oh yeah, definitely. As Goomba does his 28 digs. He actually does make it out before the timer goes out, so we'll save a text box, so a second or two from Dante there.
Yeah, and that means he was more efficient digging, so that's a little more time saved than just the text box itself.
Oh, fair enough.
It's still marginal, but it's something.
So with the purple chest, that does actually kind of put Goomba kind of in a close range to where that hook shot is, so could end up being kind of his benefit to following this chain and not only getting the boots like you mentioned, but also just being kind of in range of where that hook shot is.
Yeah, the problem with that is that physical proximity is the only thing that's there. We don't have the book, so he can't just walk over. He would have to flute anyways. And if he's doing that, then being right next to the desert doesn't matter as much, I don't think.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you definitely, especially if you're rooting for Goomba here, you want to see a Game 3, which, let's be honest, who doesn't? You do want to see Goomba get that hook shot as quickly as he can.
Oh, yeah. Want to be the first one to also just get a game down on Dante. He's been undefeated in the groups and brackets for too long.
Yeah, he dropped one to Waterloo in the
third did?
round. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. He did.
So yeah, he's not invincible by any means.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But he is, for whatever the seeds are worth this tournament, he is the top one. I don't think that's very much though. I don't think he thinks that's very much either.
Mm-hmm.
But we do see Goomba is doing pretty much what I expected when he started his route in the Village of Outcast here. He's lugging that purple chest around. He's made all the checks in the village area. Dante, dashing through Thieves Town here, has also made all the checks in the village area. So it's really just pod versus swamp and that hook shot at this point is the biggest differences, because Goomba will have the boots when he finishes this route.
Mm-hmm.
And we do see there pod paying out absolutely nothing with that fetch quest. So is it going to be the Mire Desert area for Goomba now? Oh no, Mushroom turn in first, fetch quest. And then we'll see. Oh. I see this on occasion, but it always catches me by surprise.
Okay, I kind of see what he's doing, just transitioning over here, checking these boots locations, since he just get the boots after all.
Yep, I think he'll run over to Bonk Rocks 2 with this, and then he can just flute back to 2.
Maybe, like, I don't think we've even seen the Lumberjack tree yet as well. Could also see a very quick peek at that, too.
That's true. Both runners did skip it at the coming right out of the castle, which is normal, especially when you don't have the boots coming out. But it is one more location that could have our Turtle Rock Medallion, could have Arcana Samaria. Now we do see here, with the way that daaanty routed this from south up towards north, he is a bit more incentivized to do these northern Dark World checks. The bumper ledge that we're about to see here.
Ooh, I think there was a medallion up there.
I did not see it. I was looking at daaanty on bumper ledge. Chat's saying it may have been Bombos. So we may be killing Aga. Chat's also saying Ether. I'm not sure.
We actually did just see it on daaanty's 2 side as well, but even then that was a little too fast for me.
It was a coin, and we don't know the Turtle Rock entry medallion yet, but these runners will go up to Dark Death Mountain at some point, and if that is the coin that opens up Turtle Rock, then we will know, because these runners will just be making the dash for Aghanim.
Unfortunately, it's getting to a point where I've seen all 3 medallions being suggested in chat, so I really don't know what to think at this point.
Goomba missed his bird. Not sure what happened there.
Okay, so Goomba is going to be going into Ice Palace.
Yeah, when you're full clearing Ice Palace without Samaria, it's not nearly as fun, just because you can't Icebreaker, so you have to do all that midsection of the dungeon. Mm-hmm. But Kane could be in here, so you can't just make it a hard I'll never go into Ice Palace without Kane rule.
Yeah. And even though Hookshot might have like logical implications of this dungeon, like you can easily skip those implications using some bomb jumps here, so I'm sure Goomba's well versed in all of those, so.
Yep, bomb jumping Ice Palaces, it's a classic technique. You don't see it as much anymore because of Icebreaker, but it's still important to know.
Yeah, it was honestly like one of, if not the first technique I actually learned before I started trying to enter tournaments, like back in the second tournament. So it was like the first thing I learned, because like I knew it was like being able to save so much time in this dungeon that I hate going through would be just really, really nice. So I was really glad that I picked that up when I started playing.
Yeah. I do want to talk about what daaanty just did with his mirror portal there, though.
Okay, go for it.
He set up his portal so that it was like exactly, like you see how the bushes are lined up in a row of 3 and a row of 2. He set up the portal exactly where the third would be. He entered it from above by cutting the bush that was above it. That caused him to mirror bonk off of the bush in the Dark World, immediately go back to the Light World, no delay. Fastest way to check the mushroom there if you're doing it like that.
That's really neat. Again, it amazes me to see what these runners can do just for those small little optimizations, and that's really awesome to see that.
Yeah, I really like that one in particular because like a lot of people talk about your quick warps and whatnot, which incidentally, Dante's setting one up here by bonking off of the side of the wall there, and he saved a little time on his mirror transition that way. But for as much as people like talking about those, that I think that's just a really clever use of the mirror.
Definitely. So Goomba gonna line himself up for one of the lesser seen bomb jumps of Ice Palace, but able to skip through that without need of the hook shot.
Yep. It's like you said. Hookshot has logical implications in this dungeon, but no real ones.
Yeah, it's a suggestion, not a... and at least for these runners' cases.
Of course, the hookshot logic here with Ice Palace being a 5/6 crystal could kill the Pyramid Fairy.
Right.
Bugnet, I guess, is a Y item on Dark Death Mountain there, so that's something, but it's really not.
Okay, so we're gonna get 4 more checks here at Hookshot Cave.
Quick Swap kinda got the best of Goomba there, but he played around it pretty nicely.
And the medallion we need for Turtle Rock is Bombos.
So I think mostly chat was saying Ether on the Lumberjack.
Yeah.
That is still not dead. Ether opens up
Yeah.
Misery Mire.
Yeah, it did seem like we had people actually looking into what exactly that was, and it was more clearly seen on Dainty's side, but it is Ether that was on the Lumberjack ledge. And yeah, like you said, like it's not going to be required to get a crystal, but if, you know, there's an item inside Misery Mire, which very well could be, that medallion still could come into play.
Yeah, and we're not exactly heavy on checks anymore.
Really not.
You know, though, there was not a small key in the Freezor chest, was there?
No, I believe it was not a small key.
Okay, so...
It was an item. I think it was a piece of heart.
Yeah. So that, and then there was a compass in the Pengator chest, and a piece of heart in Ice Tea. And the big key for Ice Palace was on the right side. So I believe that means that A, Cold Stare is going to drop the small key, making it logically Samaria locked. And B, the Ice Palace as a whole, like the right side of Ice Palace would be hookshot locked in that case, making Cold Stare hookshot locked because the big key was over there. So conclusion, Pyramid Fairy dead except for the potential medallion. Oh, never mind. There was an extra key somewhere that I missed. It must have been on the right side as well.
Potentially.
Okay, so yeah, you can ignore everything I just said because I can't count keys.
I'll just draw my own conclusion and say that I don't like Ice Palace.
Yeah, Ice Palace key logic is not the most straightforward thing. But hey, I mean, half magic, you'd always rather have that before the Cold Stare fight, but it's there.
And Dainty, you know, not even doing a bomb jump, just decides to hover right over that little gap. So yeah, now we're likely going to see the Pyramid Bomb over to Pyramid Fairy, the Ledge, and then potentially Catfish as well. If, Goomba hasn't seen the medallion requirement for Turtle Rock yet, I don't remember if he has the knowledge on Mire yet, though, so...
No, Goomba has not been to that part of the world at all.
Okay.
And I mean, it's double pendant dungeons over there. You don't necessarily want to.
Right. So yeah, like what I was thinking was that if he at some point thought that maybe that medallion was required, he could also just mirror and take care of Aga right now. But again, it's because he doesn't have like some of that key knowledge. Probably not then.
Right. Pyramid Ledge, nothing. But Pyramid Fairy here, bit deeper in the logic. And still nothing. But we are getting to Catfish here, like you were saying earlier. I mean, daaanty already did get to it alongside his Northern Dark World checks, but there's basically only two real good ways to get to Catfish. It's either the way daaanty did it, or the way Goomba's doing it now. Take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point, I'm expecting Goomba mirror, and then looking over his tracker here, I do think the Mire area is the next best play for him. Could be the mountain instead, because that is 6 checks plus that medallion knowledge. But it's... Okay, it is Mire area for him, so he's not going to be missing that hook shot for that much longer. And if there's something else as the second item in Desert, then might see that too.
Yeah, that's true, because daaanty did not have the boots the first time he was in here, so...
Yep, and that hookshot was in the middle chest, which left the rest of the dungeon completely boots locked in and inaccessible to him. Oh,
okay, so there's the Cane of Samaria. Yeah, I guess daaanty didn't have the Moon Pearl. He could have... There is a Super Bunny way to get the checks inside the Mire Shed, but did not opt to do that, I guess.
Yeah, because he had the mirror, so it would have been possible, but it's a bit of a finicky trick in my experience, so definitely not going to complain about a runner not going for that, even one as good as daaanty is.
Oh, the interesting thing is he is actually opting to go to the mountain, still hookshotless.
I mean, at this point, though, if he's got a key under the mat situation, he can clear Turtle Rock.
Right, that makes sense.
And it's honestly, like, even knowing that the medallion is on, or a medallion is on Lumberjack, it lets him know that he needs to go do that immediately for what he might be thinking could be a hookshot in Turtle Rock, too. But yeah, no Desert does mean no hookshot. Now he's even less incentivized to get over there. daaanty just tied the crystal count at 5. Kind of just threw a bunch of fire at Cold Stare and it kind of died.
Well, hey, whatever works, works.
But where's he gonna go next? He's got Mire area at Skull Woods. Okay, so he's not missing his cane here.
He did still have all of Palace of Darkness, though, so...
Oh, yeah, he does. I forgot about that. Kind of odd to me that he's been putting that off for so long when it's a full clearable crystal, but it's working out for him in this specific case.
It could also honestly be a case of, with how the items were laid out, like we saw earlier, Goomba took care of both Palace of Darkness and Eastern together at once, and because the way daaanty rounded, he was only able to get Eastern at the time. So maybe could be thinking that, like, if there was something in Palace of Darkness, Goomba would be pretty much on his way to be finishing at this point. So it could have been just maybe taking the chance that maybe there wasn't anything in pod and just kind of sticking to the items he's been finding to potentially get that edge of, and like again, he's only looking for one item now. He's just looking for bombos.
Yeah, and he knows it too, so I think, yeah, that is good point. Because daaanty knows that with Kane being in the shed and Hookshot being in the desert, if Goomba first visited that area with the Moon Pearl, decent odds he dips in the desert, gets that Hookshot as well, and is in good shape. We know that's not how it turned out,
Right.
but still, very realistic possibility.
That, and obviously, Green Pendant is going to be here at Skull Woods, so could also be grabbing this. So you can combo Green Pendant alongside Palace of Darkness as well.
Yep, that's a mirror transition, but does save you a bit of walking, which is worth a bit more than that. I think is Goomba... Oh, he's bonking that tree. Good game knowledge there to bonk that tree for the full magic refill, and I think he's going to go into Skull Woods too here. And just, I'm not going to call it abuse, but just straight up use of that fire rod to just kill everything that burns. It's entertaining. I like it.
Yeah, when you have that half magic, it can be definitely pretty exciting to just overuse that fire rod.
And it's kind of like we were talking about in the castle 55 minutes ago. If the fire rod damages it, it burns. It dies.
Yep.
I don't think we've seen any items in the Skull Woods so far. Maybe there was one in the middle and I misremembered.
Well, daaanty's still making checks, so it's, clearly not something definitive.
Yeah, I think Mothula dropped a map. We saw a compass on the right side of the front, which Goomba checked before heading to the back. So there's still at least one item left, even if I'm misremembering what was in the middle.
Unfortunately, Goomba gets bunny beamed before able to open the curtain, so needs to take the damage to get back in there.
Yeah, it's only one heart, but still frustrating just because it feels really slow. And I guess there was junk item in the middle because daaanty found that bottle and is out.
So yeah, the more stuff we continue to look at, and the more we continue to not really find that bombos, the more likely it is that that medallion we saw on Lumberjack is going to end up being required here.
Yeah, because, like, I didn't get a good look at the medallion. I don't think you went back and checked VODs for that, did you?
I didn't. I just figured that at this point, like, we had enough people in chat to confirm it was Ether, and they said it looked pretty clear on daaanty's VOD, so...
Yeah. And, I mean, at that point, you don't want to kill Aghanim just to get access to a pendant dungeon. I expect we'll see the second item out of Desert Palace from daaanty before we see that. But after Pod, what's he got left? He'll have the shovel turn in as the fetch quest he's going to pick up.
Yeah, and I believe we know that that's already nothing on him, so yeah, it's either that second item in Desert or in Mire at this point.
Yep, and if we want to get into Mire, we've got to go kill a wizard. But chat's also pointing out, daaanty has the green pendant. He didn't turn it in when headed to pod, though, so probably
Right.
going to do that after, but interesting skip. Now we do see here Goomba is cleaning up a couple of these miscellaneous checks that daaanty has already done. daaanty's cleaning up this dungeon that Goomba has already done. And daaanty's going to be on 6 crystals within a few minutes here. It does take a little bit of time to clear out this dungeon. It's a bit big.
Well, we are actually going to see the green pendant turn in from Goomba before we see it on daaanty's side, so we'll at least get that knowledge.
Yep, it's a much more convenient turn-in for Goomba here. He's already done pod, so he doesn't need to approach from the Dark World here.
It's the other Kana that we will just not be required whatsoever. We already have Cape anyway, so we already have a better defensive item.
Yep, it is the I have already checked Spike Cave, so I do not care check. And Goomba going for Aghanim. Not going to check Desert at all before doing this.
Well, I mean, this is definitely interesting because I mean, if it does happen to be Bombos in Mire, this may actually end up being like all right for him because like even if he goes in the Desert before Mire and he does see that hook shot, you know, he will already be in the basic area. He will see that Goomba hasn't finished yet, or not, daaanty hasn't finished yet, so may just opt to check Mire just because he spent that time getting the medallion.
Yeah, it interests me because if he commits to this, like if he goes to Desert first, finds the hook shot, and then continues along the route into Mire, then the only thing he really gets out of this is going to be Go Mode Swamp, which traditionally is a large time save.
Yeah, Go Mode Swamp, I love that prospect myself.
Yeah, the problem with it in this particular seed, daaanty got 6 items out of Swamp without having to touch the left side. So it's a little bit of a time save, but it's not the big one that Goomba may be excited about when he completes this route and finds his Bombos presumably somewhere in Desert or in Mire.
Right.
But yeah, for chat asking about why Goomba's in Aghanim's Tower, there is an Ether Medallion on the Lumberjack, which Ether opens Misery Mire. The only other checks Goomba has left at this point are Desert Palace and Swamp Palace. He has no hook shot, so he doesn't want to go to Swamp. He's betting on Mire instead.
Yeah, and the hook shot is in Desert in that middle chest.
Yep. So he will get it once he gets over there and mirrors into the Desert. But well, he's already all the way up the tower while we were kind of talking about that. It's a pretty fast climb with the Tempered Sword.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a delay here, just in terms of raw time, having to do this fight, go get the item from the Lumberjack, and then make your way over there. And he probably does Mire first before Desert just to commit to the play.
Right.
Honestly, my concern there, if he goes into Mire, finds Bombos, does he still do Desert?
Right. And on the flip side, if he does go into Desert and finds Hookshot, again, he could be lured away by Swamp as well, so And that's why I kind of feel like he needs to kind of commit to this Meyer play at this point.
Yeah, the good news for him is that if he does get lured into Swamp, the only time he'll lose is the screen transitions, unless he goes for a left side play.
Right.
And at that point, he'll be one item from go mode, so the left side play becomes a lot less appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, daaanty here is going to pick up his big red bomb and turn it in, and then I assume it's going to be Aga for him after that too, actually. Unless he wants the one item out of desert that he hasn't gotten yet. Also, good use of that whirlpool there from Goomba to get him much closer to this, faster than saving and quitting for...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very, very nice attention to just vanilla game knowledge there.
Yeah, because that's the one whirlpool, well, one of the two whirlpools that actually gets used in vanilla, and the one that you fake flipper to early on in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And chat asking, daaanty did skip left side swamp, but there are no items left in swamp for him. He did still get all 6 items out of it, despite skipping the left side.
Yeah, some like to call that the dream swamp scenario, because I don't even think we got what was in the big chest either, because I think big key was never found.
That is correct. And straight into Meyer for Goomba here. No desert at all for him. Except potentially after this. daaanty, kind of as I thought here. Pyramid Fairy had nothing, so he is into Aghanim's Tower. He's going to do this climb while Goomba's in Meyer. So at this point, the whole intrigue here is, assuming Goomba finds Bombos in here, which 2-to-1 odds he does. Well, I say 2-to-1, that is a bit oversimplifying it, but you get the idea. What's he do? Just a small key first, spike chest next, and then probably off to the left side.
Meyer continuing to just delay that reveal.
Yep, as it's very prone to do. Feels like 2 keys in the first 2 chests is not at all a rare scenario with that dungeon. Let's see the 3rd small key here just for kicks. No, item.
Yep, one of our items.
And it does mean Goomba's going to try to put off that cutscene chest and hope that it's just a dungeon item that he doesn't have to worry about.
Here's the big key. I hate that fire snake when it gets in your way.
Yeah, like... I don't... They might be one of my least favorite things in the game. They're almost up there with Dead Rocks for me. Not quite, but almost.
Yeah, to answer something in chat, daaanty did not have the boots when he went into desert for the first time, so didn't really look at the rest of it. And that's the 2nd item in Meyer, which means, you know what, pedestals still on the table too.
Yep. I think we're down to 2nd item in desert, and that unless we find the book or the powder for fetch quests.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at this point, actually, it makes a lot of sense for Goomba to go kill Vitreous here.
Yeah, kill Vitreous, and also they, commit through desert. Even if you find that hook shot, like, just go all the way. You've already gotten through all of Meyer, so
Yeah. Gonna feel really bad if the two items in desert are just hookshot bombos, but
Right.
definitely not making a wrong decision numerically here, I don't think. A very defensive one, but not wrong.
Now the thing is, like, Dainty does have the novelty of having Swamp already cleared, so like once he does get his item, he just needs to go up the Turtle Rock and finish that. So, Goomba still has some ground to make up, I think, because Dainty's immediately going to go to Meyer at this point.
Yeah, I really don't see Dante doing anything else. He doesn't really have anything else.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, nice spins there. The nice little damage boost strat to get those spins off, and then Goomba can successfully count to 8, does not fire a 9th arrow at the big eye. And already having that mirror in hand, gonna go straight into desert. And we'll see what goes. I do like this from Goomba, going over, making sure he's using the left exit of desert. That lets him use the mirror more efficiently while he's checking this dungeon.
We had just a small key on the torch, so he is gonna be picking up the hook shot next.
As long as he doesn't press his mirror after opening this chest, he's good.
He's continuing.
Okay, that's good. I think he probably fairly quickly realized that there was a strong chance Goomba or Dante got that way earlier.
Right.
And that committing to Swamp Palace was a losing play for him. And if he didn't commit to this, then he basically just did Aga for nothing, which always feels really bad.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Even then, though, when you have a scenario like this, you can't help but just, like, look at the screen and just kind of shake a little bit, just knowing, like, what could have potentially been another play.
Yeah, because that hook shot, like, we saw it on Dante's side. That thing was available at the same time as the Moon Pearl. Actually, logically, it was available before the Moon Pearl because both of those gloves were available super early, as was the mirror.
Right.
So if then Mola's drops an item here and it's not Bombos, then it's probably Ped. Like, there are exceptions based on what Landmo drops here, but very few. So, Go Mode Swamp versus the rest of Meyer and Desert for Dante. That seems pretty close to me.
Okay, well, the second item is in the big chest, so...
That's a bit of time that Goomba's going to give back there to check it. But kind of hard to check that efficiently with the way that dungeon's laid out anyways. He's not even going.
He's not even checked. Yeah, he's going straight for pedestal.
Yeah, he very badly wants that Aga play to have been worth.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit for that.
Yeah, like for him, I think he feels that's what he needs to win the race.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it's not here, fluting back is basically just 2 mirror transitions in that flute. That's pretty fast.
Right, yeah. Okay, here we go. On the pedestal, we got... the book. Oh no.
Okay, we're seeing the book checks next. We're seeing Bombos for Ether first. What do you think?
Ah, I'd say Bombos because it's right next to Swamp, and if it's there, just top off and do Swamp.
I think he's agreeing with you here. I wonder if he goes Swamp first. I think probably not, just because of the Go Mode Swamp possibility, but maybe?
And we still have that other item in Desert, too. That's the thing.
Yeah, but at this point, everything is lined up far too perfectly that
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if it were the desert item.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on Dante's side, he killed Vitreous as well. He failed to count to 8. He counted to 9 instead.
Okay, check the Bombos. Do we have vanilla Bombos? We don't.
Okay, switching to the mirror instead of the flute means it is going to be Swamp here for Goomba. There is nothing left side, so as long as he doesn't diver down for it, he is totally fine. The only extra time he'll really lose over Go Mode is checking that southern chest.
Right.
And honestly, if he's committing to the play, he may just hard Go Mode it anyways, but I would be a bit surprised by that.
I would too, honestly.
And yeah, chat's asking what locations are left for Bombos. We are looking at the Ether Tablet and one item in the Desert Palace Big Chest. And here's Dante going back into Desert. We'll see if he goes for the big chest, but I don't expect him to go for it until after Land Molas regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, watching water fill. I don't even know what the term for that small part is, but watching water fill it is not fun.
Yeah.
Okay, Goomba is skipping that southern chest, so I don't expect him to come back in for left side either. Not that there are any items there.
And looks like Dainty is going to be checking the big chest before going to Len Molas.
Okay, big moment of truth here. Did we have to kill Aghanim at all? Yes.
We did. Okay, so it's Ether Tablet.
Yeah, there's nothing else. That ped pull for book required.
And I think, yeah, it looks like, I think Goomba's going to be actually ahead here, assuming he doesn't go back in.
Yeah. I don't really think that skipping the hook shot helped him at all here, but it certainly did not hurt him with Swamp Palace being empty. So just committing to the play. It did it for him.
Anyway, to answer a question in chat, Aga was required for the Ether Medallion on the Lumberjack ledge, because that is our entrance to Mire. Mire was a pendant, but the book was on the pedestal, and that book is going to lead us to the Ether Tablet, which we believe has our Bombos Medallion.
Yep, and now courtesy of that moving wall, Dante is behind by a Land Molas fight, a ped pull, and a Bombos tablet check. That's
Right.
it. And also, he might go to Ether Tablet first because he doesn't have Swamp to pull him down to Bombos.
Right.
So he might really just be down by the ped pull, which is not very much.
Oh my gosh, what if it's powder on the ether tablets? Oh my gosh.
I mean, it could, but why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, Goomba would still have Hookshot Cave to check.
Did he not do that earlier? I thought he did.
He just got the hookshot, so.
Oh yeah, duh. I'm silly right now. Like this seed has only been going for an hour and 23, but we've done everything at this point.
we really have.
Okay, so Bombos or powder here. What is it? There it is.
Bombos. Okay, so with that, Goomba is in go mode. Just has to finish up Turtle Rock, or well, start and finish Turtle Rock. Neither of our runners have gotten to that yet. So basically, yeah, just the ped pull here for daaanty and where he decides to go. Like if he does maybe decide to take a chance on Bombos first, he's saving and quitting. That leads me to believe he is going straight to the mountain.
Yep.
Or not. Never mind. Forget what I said.
Is saving and quitting faster than dashing off that screen? I guess.
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is.
Yeah, regardless, this is giving up a little bit of time there. Which, unfortunate, since he doesn't have it at this point with Goomba being in go mode ahead of him on the route.
Right.
But it's still quite close, because Ether Tablet has to be his next check. He has nothing else.
Right. You know, like, at the beginning, we were getting items left and right. Like, seriously, like, Sphere 1 and Sphere 2 were loaded with... even just Sphere 1 was loaded with just all this stuff in Kakariko. And it seemed like we were just often getting thrown to the next location there and there and there. And, you know, once we did have Dark World access, it felt like everything else was pretty much within reach. It just came down to that one Bombos medallion locked behind not only Aghanim, but also the pedestal as well. So that one item is what led this race to where it is now.
Yeah, and it's like, in vanilla, you pull ped to get your Aghanim access. In this seed, you killed Aghanim to get your ped access.
Yeah, exactly.
Both of them suck, but just in slightly different ways. And there's daaanty in go mode. About 2 minutes and a few seconds behind there. Gotta get into Turtle Rock now and see how much of that he can make up. I guess, aside from just general execution of the runners, there are 2 potential big points for daaanty to make up time on routing if he goes for them. And that's obviously Ganon's tower discrepancies are one thing. But there is a bit of go mode Turtle Rock routing here around potentially skipping the big chest and gambling on the big chest plus the lava chest not both having small keys.
Right. And at this point, I guess that's something you commit to. Do you feel behind enough to skip that big chest?
Yeah, of course. Goomba may also go for that same play, which in that case, daaanty's route to making up time would be to choose the big chest while Goomba loses that gamble. And yeah, we see here Goomba taking this route and not going to get that big chest. Has a small key in hand off the stolen one, but basically still needs there to be small key available up ahead.
Right. So you'll have 5 chances for that. The 1 chest in here, and then the 4 on Laser Bridge. We get a key here, he's fine.
Yep. So I do expect daaanty to skip the big chest as well, because that has become the standard play especially when you're go moding Turtle Rock. But it was a potential point.
Yeah.
And with that extra key in hand, we see here Goomba skipping Laser Bridge entirely. 14 hearts, Tempered Sword, half magic. Literally the only thing that he could possibly want is the magic powder, and all that really buys him is a health refill at the top of Ganon's tower.
Right. So Goomba gonna step on in for his Trinex fight.
Yep, getting behind Trinex there, missing the Fire Rod shot, but getting the second one in. And I think that was invulnerability frames keeping that second one, but still a one-cycle phase 1 anyways. Trinex only getting one head extension, whatever you want to call it, attack off. And with the Tempered Sword, that's really the best you can do. And then quick kill there on phase 2, getting the double spin on the head, followed by a slash. Very good fight.
Yeah, in that second phase, you want to see the mirrored L, basically, so when you see that, you know you had a pretty dang good Trinex fight for the second phase.
Yep, and now that is 7 crystals for Goomba, 11 dungeons down, and Twitch chat gets to have a prediction about where is the Ganon's Tower big key. Is it going to be an even number or an odd number?
Well, because this has been one odd seed, I'm going to say even, just to balance it out a bit.
I can go with that. Sounds nice to me. Early predictions for Twitch chat greatly favored odd, but it's kind of completely flipped in the other direction to strongly favoring even, and then pulling back towards, oh, ish. Regardless, check number 1 here for Goomba, small key on the torch. So let's carry on.
So let's see what we got in here. Got a red rupee, a green 20, small key, and 300. So looks like we're going to see the Dark Magician route here. So basically, the first few checks on the left side, then you double back over to the right side to check that.
Yep, and the reason that it is done as such is that it guarantees the availability of a small key to get you over to the compass room on the right side, which there is not guaranteed to be a small key in that hope room. Meanwhile, daaanty having a bit of fun there trying to fire rod the firehead, but gets through a slightly slower first phase, needs 2 cycles to get through it.
And there it is. Big key has been found over on the right side. Goomba is on his way up the tower. Just got execution remaining pretty much at this point, so he's going to try to force that game 3.
Yep, and for those keeping a score at home, that was check number 9 for the big key, so slightly less than half.
Yeah, and it was an odd number, unfortunately, but...
Yeah, but I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah. Especially when it's in a room like that, where it literally could have been an even or odd number, since there's 4 chests in there, so equal opportunity to be either of those.
Yeah, and it's just, what order do you open the chests in?
Right.
But Goomba upstairs now into the gauntlet rooms. These are supposed to be the most challenging combat rooms in the game, but these guys are kind of good, so doesn't necessarily look like it sometimes.
Yeah, they've played this game a couple of times. They know what they know what they're doing.
Yeah, that about sums it up pretty well, I think. The Tempered Sword, really nice to have here because it kills any enemy it touches in these rooms in one hit.
Yeah, that's true. It does. So, but they're happy to get that as we move on to the Landmo fight. Very nice kill by Goomba there.
Yep. He's gonna have enough magic to summon Mario the Wizrobes in the room ahead, but I think he's gonna have to resort to Lamp for the first Torches room, even with half magic.
Right.
Yeah, and then just to recap for chat a little bit. Early on, this seed was kind of looking a bit like daaanty may have an edge with that early hook shot. Because he went to Desert and Checkerboard Cave with the Mirror, the Mitts, the Flute, looking for the Moon Pearl. Didn't find it there. But ultimately, Swamp Palace turned out to be completely empty, so that didn't really buy him anything. And I think Goomba overall really just was a bit more efficient on the routing when it came down to a medallion hunt at the very end. And that medallion turned out to be behind the silliest logic chain I've seen in a while, with Aghanim blocking Lumberjack, blocking Meyer, blocking a pendant, blocking Ped, blocking the medallion on the Ether tablet.
And that's the thing. It wasn't even a case of the item on the Ped either. It was the item you got on Ped to unlock the Go Mode item too. So just adding one chain on top of that.
Yeah, but Goomba, when it came down to it, he committed to it. He was the first one to commit to it, and it paid off.
Right,
so
yeah.
The efficiency that he got from kind of the rest of his routing made up for the efficiency of daaanty being able to do Swamp as early as he did and not having to go to the left side. Because, yeah, 6 items in Swamp, the so-called God Swamp, but every chest was cash.
Right. And yeah, like, it's good that you do bring up that, like, especially early on, like, Goomba's routing of, like, the Sphere 1, Sphere 2, basically the Light World checks was really well done. I mean, he was able to get the Moon Pearl pretty efficiently, route in both Eastern and Palace of Darkness together, which I think definitely saved some time. So, you know, definitely just even getting that good start, I think definitely kept him in it, even when things were maybe starting to kind of look a little not so great for him just because he missed out on that hook shot for so long. But definitely kept it in there, and it hung on, and he's going to potentially be getting a Game 3 out of this, so that's definitely good on him for sure.
Yep, dropping into Ganon here as daaanty exits the gauntlet, enters Landmola 2. So Goomba getting Trident Spin there, well set up to get the 1 cycle here. And then watch for the 1 cycle on phase 2 as well with all these slashes, and he should be good to go. Okay, 3 hits down, 1 more as soon as these warps finish, then gonna light the torch, and then 12 spins will be it for Goomba. Meanwhile, daaanty's got some torches lit, gonna grab the full magic refill here, then light 4 more and be on to the Helmasaur room and Molder Room 2. So the only thing that we don't want to see from Goomba here basically is a fall. He's playing clean, he's in his rhythm. Gonna get a hit here. I think he needs 5 more, maybe just 3.
Fourth, apparently, right in the middle.
Split the difference. Oh yeah, because he got a double instead of a triple on the first one, and then the rest was triples. But that is Ganon down for Goomba. Just gonna have to cross the bridge here. Puts him across the bridge at a time of 1:38:30, and that will bring us to Game 3.
Yeah, this was the first of the round 2 matchups that we were actually aware of, and you know, still continuing on. We have a Game 3 out of this really exciting matchup. We have both two really skilled runners of Link to the Past Randomizer. They've definitely done a great job in races and just tournaments in general, so it'll be really exciting to see how that Game 3 goes down.
Yep. And that is now daaanty with his Aga 2 down. So he's just got to down Ganon himself, and that will be it for him.
As said in chat, they will have the same Ganon warp patterns, much like the same Aga patterns, so fight should still be relatively the same length.
Yep, so should be pretty good here, especially since, yep, there's that Trident spin. The critical point to getting the one cycle phase 1 for Ganon there. And we're seeing the dashes from daaanty here. Fortunately not against the wall, so he can't get the little spin off there. But, oh well, still gets it.
Does bring out Berna right there just to make sure he doesn't take damage from that one bat that was like getting pretty close to him.
Yep. But he is only on 2 hearts. He chose the Cane of Berna as an alternative to downing his potion there. And just needs... I think, what was this? Was it this one? Next one. Whatever. Ganon warped a lot. It was sad. Now, gonna try to get this spin off here. Gets it. Goomba actually did not get that. And just a few more spins here. Remember, it is 12 total. The absolute best you can do is 3 per cycle here, depending on when you light the torch and where Ganon is. And that's 12 down for daaanty, so he's just going to cross the bridge here.
His very nice white outlined sword.
Yeah, item dashing does things, but that's daaanty across the bridge. Time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 40 seconds.
Yeah, about 3 minutes of difference between the two. Not bad, not bad.
And we do have both runners with us here, so GG both of you. Congratulations, Goomba. Game 3 win.
I don't know. Sometime next week, probably.
That's true. You guys do actually have... You're ahead of schedule here, being in round 2 already. So you got a lot of time.
I mean, we could just run it back right now and play, you know, another stupid, like, Blando.
This was probably the most ridiculous open or standard seed I have ever played in my entire life. And I've played a lot of them.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of them, and I think I agree with that statement.
Yeah, same here, honestly.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like Twitch chat's dream.
Basically.
It's just absolute trash. Like, I was telling Goomba, I was really considering going to Meyer when I saw Ether, and I was like, man, do I really want to do that? That would be way ballsy. But, you know, in a 1v1, it just doesn't feel like something you want to risk. That's like a play you make if you're just feeling dumb in a daily, I think. but it's hard to justify that, especially when you've got other crystal dungeons to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dante, for you in particular, I think getting the Moon Pearl meant that you suddenly could have 6 crystals.
Yeah, it did actually, and I hated that. It's just like, well, this is wide open. So I was telling Goomba in the race room, I kind of felt like he probably got to the Pearl before, like way before me. So it was like I figured he might be able to combo Pod and Eastern. So therefore, my thought was, well, if something's in Pod, I've probably lost. So I was like, let's kind of bank on it not being there. And Big Key was in the back. I kind of just miscounted keys, went into what do you call it? The Hellway or Harmless Hellway. And then at that point, I was like, screw it. Let's just go to the back. If it's here and we lose, like, let's go do Ether after the big bomb and hope for the best. I hate that, Meyer was a double dip. Desert was like triple dip, I guess, because I went back in for that big chest. So, yeah, it just didn't work out, but crazy seed.
Yeah. Me being as late to the hookshot as I was probably kind of helped, weirdly. Because at that point, like, when I went to Meyer, I was just kind of committed. So I went for Vitreous, even though I found both items. And then I went to Landmo, and I was like, well, there's an item in the desert big chest, but I don't really care. Let's go pull the pedestal.
Yeah, like, we were thinking earlier in the race, as it did start to become apparent that Bombos was probably in or behind the Meyer area, that getting hookshot may lead you to bail on that area prematurely. But it didn't. And honestly, I'm not sure beyond that missing hookshot for so long helped you, but it absolutely didn't hurt you with the way Swamp Palace turned out to be laid out, which I think Dante told you about.
Yeah. So my reasoning was I was so late to actually checking the Meyer area, and I found the cane, and at that point I was hookshot and TR medallion for go mode, and I knew where Ether was, so I figured there was a reasonable chance it was just TR is Ether, hookshot's in TR, that's the seed. So I kind of wanted to just rush to TR and check the medallion, hence why I didn't dip Desert Palace when I was there. And then I really didn't want to go back to Desert Palace after ignoring it like that, so I just kind of didn't. And then at some point my options were Hookless Swamp, going back to Desert, or killing Agar for the Ether medallion, so I just said screw it.
It certainly worked out for you. I was kind of impressed to see it. At that point, the two of you had collectively cleared enough that we knew Meyer pretty much had to be it, or the second item in Desert that Dante wasn't able to get because of no boots. But sometimes you make the weird plays, and the weird plays are good for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just gotta make all the plays.
I was
Sometimes you have
sweating
to-
pretty hard though.
You and me both. I at no point after fluting away from Spiral Cave, at no point in the race did I feel ahead or good. I was like, I am behind, especially when I went back. I felt like I thought about skipping it entirely and doing flippers, but then Hook actually pushed me back to check the mountain again because I was like, well, this isn't as bad as having to go up and around mirroring. So, for 7 checks, it's worth it to flute there and, mirror over. Or, I'm sorry, hook over. But yeah, oops.
Actually, that does raise a question that I forgot to ask earlier. Why did you flute from Spiral Cave?
Oh, because I'm just stupid. Didn't you know? Like, there was no good reason to that. Like, that was the moment when the bird grabbed me. I said some things that probably can't be on SpeedGaming. And I knew at that point if something was there, I was doomed. So, yeah. It was totally just like autopilot, like trying to think, a step ahead. Sometimes I'm really bad at menuing and quick swapping. And I was like, okay, I need the flute when I get out of here because we're done with the mountain. And then as soon as the bird grabbed, I was like, we're not done with the mountain. That's bad. So.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate, but I understand falling into the autopilot mentality for sure. And I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you do that. You gotta have yourself.
We all have our dingus moments.
Yeah.
And here this whole time, there were people in chat saying, well, because, there was a lot of money in Paradox Caves, so people were thinking, well, if he gets this money and then goes to Zora, he's not going to have enough money for Palace of Darkness, of Moon Pearls, and any of those locations, so maybe he's banking on it being an Eastern, so he's wanting something like that, he can just go to Pod, have the money for it, and not waste that money on Zora, but nope, sometimes it's not that complicated, sometimes it's just that autopilot keep kicking in.
Yeah, I was really happy about getting all that money in Paradox, because I wanted to try to be a bit greedy and check Zora area for the Moon Pearl before going to Eastern, so I could combo it with Pod, but I didn't want to go without Zora money, so if I hadn't gotten that money, I would have just done Eastern anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that didn't. Your early routing definitely really worked out well for you because of kind of the autopilotness that Daanty had to kind of go through there, so that you actually managed to clear a lot of those, like those first 3 dungeons in particular. It was just bam, 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 and we're just moving through the early part of the game really nicely.
Yeah, I think I had 4 crystals at like 35 minutes or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then things slowed down drastically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were happy to see the early ice rocks. It meant we wouldn't be hunting for that late in the game, but yeah, we just had... Nobody could imagine.
I mean, the problem with the ice rod hunt generally is the decision of when do you go to Turtle Rock, and in this seed the answer was you don't. You just don't go to Turtle Rock. You're not allowed. Sorry.
Yeah. It was a previous time. We were all young and naive.
Yeah, like I wanted TR. I mean, well, obviously we wanted TR like so bad just for progression at one. I did at one point, but I was thinking, either it's a pendant or it's if we got Ice Rod this early, or it's gonna have nothing. And I mean, I guess it had nothing just because we knew where the 4th sword was today. At least on my side, I got that. Did you get the sword on library, or did you get the one in the smith chain?
Yeah, I got the smith chain sword.
Yeah, it makes sense because, like, if you're comboing to the boots, you're gonna get that. But
yeah,
it's.
I mean, I basically full cleared the game. I think we both basically full cleared the game.
Yeah,
so.
I think there's 3 things that I did check, which, like I said, I told you, like back a pod. I know I didn't do the shovel out of it, the shovel, hobo, or the island. I meant to do the Lake Helia Island, like going to ice, and I fluted. When you get the flute, I was gonna go to 4 and go check it, but oops.
Yeah.
But yeah, big GG's to Goomba. It was a hard game too. Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, I think I skipped. What did I skip? Desert Big Chest, a few chests in Swamp Palace, Hookshark Cave. I think that's it. Something like that.
Yeah, you've had a pair of just kind of silly seeds there, I think, between this one and yesterday's.
A little bit. Yesterday's was silly in a different sense, in that it was, hey, the entire Dark World is open and you're looking for 2 things, have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I guess we have to pull Ped, like runner's agreement to pull Ped in game 3 since you did it in game 1, and then we can, make it another AD, I guess.
Technically, I didn't pull Ped yesterday. I walked up to it with 3 pendants, read it, and then left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll be hoping that your game 3 is a little bit different. Let's say. A bit of change of pace there.
Yeah, no,
well,
GG's for sure. This was something.
Yeah, and big thanks to you guys doing the comms, the tracking, all that good stuff. But I am going to go grab some dinner, and thanks again, and GG's to Goomba.
Yep,
and big thanks to you and Goomba as well, because I say it every time, but without runners, we don't have anything to show here and talk about, so. And then also big thanks and shout outs to the tracker Wolflink, doing a good job with everything, clicking all the buttons, lighting up all the things on the tracker.
Yeah, seriously. Like you said, yeah. Literally would have nothing if we had no runners. We'd be staring at a black screen this whole time. So yeah, definitely good to have you guys in here and making these races very entertaining to watch as well. And obviously, thank all you guys for watching, keeping the chat entertaining to read and watch and kind of converse with as we've gone through this. And of course, thank you, Reg, for joining me on this race as well. It was a pleasure commentating this exciting race. Even if the seed was a little obnoxious, it definitely was not one that I've seen like this in a very long time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna just be straight up and say that this seed was a mess, but it was definitely interesting to try to think about, commentate, watch as it was going on. So definitely enjoyed calling it with you, Slim Kirby here. But looking at the schedule for the rest of the night, it looks like we've got a Kappa vs. Killer app on SpeedGaming 5 that started about an hour and 20 ago. Maybe, I don't know what the status of that race is.
I actually just checked that, and that race just ended. So,
okay, so that will wrap up Link to the Past Randomizer for tonight, but still check out everything else going on SpeedGaming. There's no shortage of things here. And obviously races across the next several days as we continue the bracket stage here.
Yeah, just looking at tomorrow, we don't have any restreams scheduled quite yet. We'll probably have that done within like the next few hours or so, but we do have 4 races scheduled for tomorrow. All of them are game 2s, so it could be a case where some other runners are looking to push it to a game 3 for their tournament life, or we'll have some people potentially moving on to the next round. So definitely want to check a look at that if you're interested. Some of the matchups we have are Kuride versus Obscure Lifeform, Ben Teasy versus Error, Hitsuyen versus Aussie, and Fear Agent versus Zelga Disson. So yeah, some very exciting matches tomorrow with some very, very skilled runners and matchups of this tournament for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Multiple matches tomorrow that I'm interested in seeing for sure. But I think for now, I think that's going to be it for us. So we will see you guys over some other race.
Yep, see you guys later.